Good day, folks. Welcome to Answers Life. I hope everyone's having a great one so far. I'm pretty sure many of you are celebrating today because today the government opens back up. Now, depending on how long it takes for this video to upload, it may be yesterday that the government opened back up. But as of the recording of the video, the government opened up today. And I'm pretty sure many of you are excited. All you federal workers are once again, you're gonna get to be paid for the work you do, as you should. Many of you that are on EBT, SNAP, many of you guys are gonna receive your full benefits at some point. And for anybody else that may have been inconvenienced by the shutdown one way or another, I'm pretty sure many of you are glad to see the government back up and going again. However, I don't want you guys to celebrate. I don't want you guys to celebrate. I don't want you guys to get too complacent. Because, for one, this shutdown could very easily happen again the next time the two sides have a disagreement. It could easily happen again. And who knows for how long if it does happen again. And with that being said, one thing that this government shutdown should have taught all of us, really, even those that may have not been affected by the shutdown. One thing that this shutdown should have taught all of us is the fact that at the end of the day, we are it. The person in the mirror is it. You are not going to always be able to depend on the government to see you through whatever situation you're going through. So I would say between this past government shutdown and also all the people that have recently got laid off and lost their jobs, one thing that all of us ought to be learning right now is the fact that at the end of the day, we cannot take our employment for granted. We can't even take this government for granted. Even if you work at a federal job, you can't even take that job for granted because recently there's been a lot of people that have been furloughed or they've been laid off their job permanently. So we all need to understand that at the end of the day, we're it. The person in the mirror is it. And maybe if you can find a few other people within your community that think like yourself, that's gonna be the best you're gonna be able to do. That, maybe a few of your family members, maybe a couple of your close friends. Other than that, that's about it. I mean, basically, at the end of the day, you are all you have. And what that means is, I mean, and I want to make this video to remind you guys to not relax, to not get comfortable, to not get too complacent. Because we are officially, as far as I'm concerned, we are officially in the holiday season. I mean, Thanksgiving is going to be, I want to say, a week and a half or so from today. Oh, today's third. No, Thanksgiving is going to be, let me think here. Yeah, Thanksgiving is going to be about a couple of weeks away. And I know a lot of you are out here shopping around. You're getting all your stuff that you think you'll need for Thanksgiving. Some of you already got what you need for Thanksgiving, so you're out here getting everything you think you'll need for Christmas. So before you go out here and spend too much of your money before you go out here and run up your credit cards and go on the crap tons of debt, depending on your income tax refund to rectify those debts for you, for some of you. Before you do any of that, I really want everybody that's currently watching me, or I mean, that's currently listening to me, to understand. Just because the government is back up and going again does not mean that we're does not mean that we're in the safe. I mean, I would like to think that we're in the safe, but in reality, just the way things have been going, both politically and economically, we're not in the safe. Not, I mean, everything. Us older people, anyways, us Gen Xers and older, have been raised to be able to rely on, such as our government. If you get you a federal job, you're set for life. If you get you a decent paying job, even in the private sector, work 25, 30 years, retire, and you're good to go. You'll have a retirement. You'll get to retire with medical benefits. So a lot of things like that people of my generation have been told to go after, we're now finding out. I mean, I would say for the last maybe 10, 15 years, give or take, we have been finding out gradually that none of that could be taken for granted. You cannot take your federal job for granted. You cannot take these private sector jobs for granted. Not even the ones that are high paying. Not even the big, large corporations. You can't take those positions for granted. I don't care how much college education you have or how many years of experience you had in your field or you had at a particular company. It don't matter. In this day and age, none of that matters. And this government shutdown should have proved that we can't even take our government for granted. We could wake up one day, the two parties have a disagreement, and once again, government shutdown once again. It could very well happen. It could happen. It could happen next week. I'm just saying. You never know. You go to work tomorrow morning. Your employer can pull you off to the side, and they can decide for whatever reason to let you go. For those of you that still work at home, you wake up one day, you can't get on your computer, and all of a sudden your employer gives you that dreaded phone call or email telling you that your job is being terminated and for whatever BS reason they concoct, they're going to let you go. So at the end of the day, I can't emphasize enough. You are it. If you can find a couple of other people within the community or amongst your friends and family that think a lot like you or think even a little bit like you, then that's going to be about the best you're going to be able to do. And what that is going to look like is it's going to be a little different for everybody. So some of the ways that we can inch ourselves a little closer to being just a little bit more self-sufficient is, well, obviously you gotta start where you're at right now. Like, if you're a homeowner and you haven't already began to plant yourself a garden to grow your own fruits and vegetables, at least some of them, that's the thing that you're gonna want to do. Now it's cold right now in most parts of the country, so whenever it begins to warm up around April or May for most parts of the country, you're gonna want to get out there and you're gonna want to start some type of a garden and grow at least one or two fruits and vegetables at the minimum. if you're renting an apartment, most apartments have balconies or they got porches. So you can go to Lowe's or Walmart, get you a couple of little beds, put some dirt in those beds. Buy some seeds and you can plant you one or two fruits and vegetables. You can start small. That's one way that all of us can inch ourselves a little closer to self sufficiency. Another thing that I believe all of us need to be doing is, now I get that not all of us are entrepreneurial or not entrepreneurial. I mean, some of us are going to have more trouble starting a business than others. But for those of you that are creative and you have that entrepreneurial spirit within you, another thing that some of us can do to inch ourselves a little closer to self sufficiency is to look at what type of skills we currently have and perhaps we can turn it into some kind of a business. Even if it means having to do it on the side while you work your regular 9 to 5, which for most of us that's how it would look. That's what you do. I mean, that's what I'm doing right now. So you can start yourself a little side hustle that ultimately you can grow into a full-time business while working your 9 to 5. If you haven't already began doing that. Another thing that we all can do to inch ourselves a little closer to self-sufficiency is, in a second here, is look at your finances. What are you able to cut back on? What are you able to completely cut out, even if it's only temporary? Are your finances any good? Are your finances any good? Like after you pay all your bills, do you have do you have enough money left over to where you could put at least a couple $100s a month away for your retirement fund? Or you can put some money away for that what if rainy day fund? Or you can put some money away for what I would call the FU fund. The FU fund, for those of you that don't know, is the money that you put away. So one day you go to work, your boss pisses you off. You can just tell your boss, you know what, go get lost and walk off the job and quit. And while you're looking for another job, you have a little bit of money to live off of. That's why I call it FU fund. So after you guys pay your bills, do you guys have enough money left over to put towards the retirement, to put towards FU fund, to put aside for emergencies, to invest, which that's the retirement fund kind of sort of, at least for me it is. I mean, do you guys have money for any of that type of stuff? If you don't, then you're going to need to make some adjustments to your finances to where you do got money for that kind of stuff. That might mean having to work a second job. It might mean having to perhaps get a better paying job. I know it's easier said than done, but you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta find a way. So that's another way that you can inch yourself towards being more self sufficient. And for those of you that don't mind, you know, well, no, I'm gonna leave that one alone because I don't want people getting upset. So let me put it like this: do you have survival skills? Like, do you have survival skills to where if you lost, let's say, your electricity or your home burned down or something bad happened to your dwelling? Do you have any kind of survival skills? I mean, have you ever camped out in a tent before? Now, I know that's kind of out there a little bit in this day and age, but it's something to think about. And it's something to practice. Another thing is, do you own a vehicle, preferably one that's outright that doesn't have any payments attached to it? Do you own a vehicle that's large enough to where if you had to, you could live out of that vehicle? The seats are big enough to where you can put down the seats as flat as they go, and you can get to a reasonably decent sleep at night. You know, the seats are comfortable enough to where you can get some good sleep at night. Or if you have like a SUV, a station wagon, or even better than that, some type of a van, you can put like a mattress in the back and make it comfortable enough to where you can sleep at night without tossing and turning every 2 seconds. Do you have a vehicle like that to where if you had to, you can turn it into a living quarter temporarily? I mean, would you know how to go shopping for food when living out of your vehicle? Would you know what type of food would be good? Like, what's what kind of food is good in protein, but at the same time will be able to last in a vehicle without going bad. That type of stuff. I mean, do you guys have those type of skills? I mean, if you don't, then YouTube University will take care of that in 2 seconds. I mean, I've got some of those videos on this channel. I got videos on this channel how to take a minivan and set it up to where you can live out of it temporarily. If you care to go back and watch any of those videos. So, in a nutshell, those are just some of the things that I think everybody ought to be thinking about at this point. I mean, don't assume just because the government is back open and things are slowly returning back to normal, or maybe you may have been laid off and now you're back at work again, and if you are, congratulations. But even if you are, don't take it for granted. Don't assume that normal is here, and therefore you can relax. You can, don't. I mean, like I said, don't get too complacent because everything could be a mess once again tomorrow, literally, one way or another, for any of us. And another thing I'm going to add is, again, if you have any close friends, your family, anybody that gives a damn about you, keep in regular contact with those people. Because even though I'm talking about self-sufficiency, sometimes part of being self-sufficient is to have a couple of people in your corner that give a damn about you that could help you out when you need some help. And of course, if they need some help, they can rely on you. Because sometimes being self-sufficient may mean having to rely on people other than yourself. People that, as I say, they know you. You two got some kind of a relationship, and they care and they give a damn about you. So again, in closing, before you spend all your money on the holidays, before you run up all your credit cards, going into debt, buying a bunch of crap because of the holidays. A bunch of crap you probably don't even need. Before you do any of that, make sure that you set aside the money necessary at the minimum. Make sure you set aside the money necessary to where you can get yourself set up to where if the shit hits the fan again, which at some point it will. I'm not trying to be a bearer of bad news. I'm not trying to jinx nobody, but it is what it is. But make sure you have enough money set aside to where the next time shit hits the fan, you can immediately get things set up and do what you gotta do in order to survive. And until you have those things in place, I wouldn't worry about Thanksgiving or Christmas. I'm just saying. Because you can have a wonderful holiday without blowing all your money. I mean, I know that's a foreign concept for many of you, but you can. Now, if you really want to celebrate the holiday, like I said, make sure you have all your priorities straight. Which your priorities at this point ought to be, your priorities right now ought to be to make sure that yourself, your family, your significant other, everybody that's in your circle, everybody that is in your immediate circle, your family, your significant other, make sure you guys have what you guys need. So the next time the shit hits the fan, you'll be able to survive. So that's all I got for this one. Until next time, stay blessed.